Hi everyone, Tori here with today's December daily video. Today I thought it would be really fun to play with these tags that were included in the December daily main kit, and they have the numbers from 1 to 31 on them. They're all the same font. And I thought it would be really fun to use these as a daily number card in my December daily and every day to have it in there. But I've debated long and hard about this. Part of me wanted to just leave them white and just plain and have that clean, simple look, but I am just not like that. So the other part of me wanted to play and do something fun with them, so I decided that I was going to do something really fun with it. If you have watched some of my videos in the past, you know that I once did this fuse project where I took all of the handmade tags that I made for Christmas last year and I put them into a page protector and fused them in there so that I could save them. Basically, I gave them to people on their presents and then I stole them back because I love them so much. And these are the ones I made last year, and I thought it would be really fun this year to make similar tags, but using these numbered white tags from the December Daily main kit and decorate them like that. So whether you are doing December Daily or you just want some ideas on how to make Christmas tags, I hope you find this video really inspiring, and I hope I can give you some good tips and tricks on how to make it. So these are the ones I made last year. Some of the ones I make this year will be pretty similar, but I will probably be going with the same kind of like mixed media feel for the tags, and I love the way they worked out. Last year I used mostly like distressings, a couple stencils, stamping, and then I used some embossing on there. You can see it in a couple places. I also used some like embellishments like enamel dots and die cuts. I used some glitter tape, which I love the glitter tape, and I'm just super happy with the way they turned out in general. So I am going to make 31 using these tags here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of like skip ahead here and speed the video up and do voiceover for the rest. Just because I think it will be easier, because there's 31 tags, for me not to like stop and explain how I make each one, but to speed the video up and show you through the voiceover how I do it. However, if I skip any of the tags, I'm going to, at the end, I'll slow it down and show them to you one-on-one. But if I skip any of the tags and you really want a better explanation of how I've made it, leave me a comment below and say like, hey Tori, can you explain to me how you did number 19 better? I would be happy to do that. Anyways, that's it for me now. Right now I'm going to put you on speed up and voiceover, so I'll see you at the end.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to put the numbers in order from 1 to 31. And the reason I wanted to do that was because I didn't want any of the numbers, like consecutive numbers, to look alike. And I thought if I could put them in order from 1 to 30, then I could split them into 3 groups. One group could be the red group, one group could be the yellow group, and one group could be the green group. Now, you really wouldn't need to be as OCD about this as I was, but I don't know, it worked in my head. And then I grabbed the distress inks that I was going to use. So I grabbed sort of 3 colors of distress inks. I grabbed yellows, red, and green. So I'll start with the colors that I use for the green. The large pad there is called Mowed Lawn. And then the other 3 greens I used are Peeled Paint, Evergreen Bough, and Pine Needle. And I just used some mini ink blending tools and just inked the edges and blended the different green colors together. And I kept them all a little different. I didn't want any of them to be exactly the same, so I wasn't shooting for anything in particular, but just sort of mixing up the colors. So sometimes I laid the color mostly around the edges, like I did with the 30, the 27, 24, there. And then sometimes I just sort of mixed it up from side to side like I did with the 21. And then on this one here, I decided to do more of a gradient color, so had the darker color at the top and went down from there. And then other times I just sort of like went all over like with this one. So it really varied. I wasn't really going with any consistent thing. And the thing with distressings is I really don't think you can mess them up. Like they are made to be messy and to play messy and just have fun and do whatever. So don't be afraid to just get in there and play with colors, and don't worry which colors you mix together. Just go for it. And it's okay to layer colors on top of each other, because in the end it all just looks so cool mixed together, and when you add water they blend, and yeah, it just looks cool. So don't be afraid to just go for it and do whatever. I think that's one of the reasons that I love distressings, because every time I use them, like the product that I come up with ends up looking so cool, and I don't think you can mess them up. So you can even mix colors that you don't think would go together, and they still work and they still look really cool. So just go for it. So once I was done inking all of those, I just wiped down my space with a baby wipe, and my fingers are already green. So that does stay a little while. My fingers are probably dyed red, green, and yellow for probably like a day and a half. And every time I washed it, a little bit more would come out, but it was pretty stained. So don't worry about that. That's part of the fun of creating, right? I love when my fingers are covered in ink. So now I am doing the third of them. That is going to be mostly reds and pinks. So I am using Fired Brick Distress Ink, Worn Lipstick, Barn Door, and Aged Mahogany. And I tried to use a little spun sugar, but it ended up being a little too light, so I didn't really end up using that much of it. But it is out there, and I did play with it a couple times, but it ended up being almost too light. So I like the ones that were a little darker. And guys, this is such a fun project. Like, just honestly, like, blast some Christmas music and just go for it. Don't worry about being right or wrong. Don't worry about any of it. Just have fun, blend those colors together. And like I said, there's no way you can really mess this up. So I was listening to the Elf soundtrack while I inked these. And it was just fun. I was singing along and just going for it. So I did want to let you know that the speed is on like ×4 right now, and the reason for that is because if I didn't have this video like extremely sped up, it would be probably like an hour and a half. So I'm trying to make this go as quickly as possible. But like I said in the beginning, if there is a certain card or tag here that you really like and you'd like some more explanation on, leave me a comment and I'll try to give you the best description of how I made it as possible. I probably can't tell you which color specifically I used on each tag because I wasn't really paying attention. I just sort of went for it. So just showing you my fingers again. Now they're red and green. So I cleaned my space off again with a baby wipe. And then the last third of the tags is going to go with like a yellowy goldish tone. And I'm using 2 distress inks on this one. I am using Scattered Straw, which is the yellow one there. And then the more like other one is called, I don't know what you call it. It's more of a goldy kind of tone. It's a little brownish, but it's more of like goldy yellow. And it is called Brushed Corduroy, and I just mix those together. And another fun technique that you can do is if your ink pads are getting a little dry like mine, you can actually just rub the ink pad right on the tag like I'm doing here. You don't even have to use the ink blending tool. So I like using the ink blending tool, but I like mixing it up too. So feel free to just grab the ink pad and just rub it right on there. Now, if you don't have distress inks, don't worry, you don't have to like run out and go buy some. What you could use is you could use some other water-based inks. For example, the Studio Calico Color Theory inks are water-based. which means like when you add water, they react. They don't react as nice as the distress inks, but you could use those. And if you don't have any ink pads, you could also just use watercolors here. So I could have just pulled out my kid watercolor set from Recollections at Michael's and just played with that, and that would have worked too. So just use what you have. Don't run out and buy a new product just to make some tags. So I think you could also use regular paints on there and just blend the colors together. So lots of fun things you can do. So after I had inked up all the tags, I really liked that brushed corduroy color, so I went and used some of it on the other tags. And then I grabbed a little bit of red and added it to some of the yellow tags and some of the green tags, just sort of mixing them. I grabbed like a random sampling of the tags and just sort of added the different colors to them. So like on some of the red ones, I added a little bit of green, and to some of the yellow, I added a little bit of green. So just to add a little more definition, I'm just sort of mixing them up. Again, I wiped down my space with baby wipes. Those baby wipes are great, and my fingers are like going to be dyed permanently now for a couple days. They're so dark. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray them all with a little bit of water, and after that I'm just going to blow them dry. So I saved you the time of watching me wet them, but I basically just spray them all with a little bit of water and let the colors blend together, and then I grabbed my heat gun and dried them all. So what I've done now is I've grabbed out some of my stencils, and this is just like a random sampling of stencils, and I am going to use the Distress inks again, and I'm using the same colors as before, and just using the stencils. And what I decided to do was use each color a couple times and just grab a different tag each time, lay the stencil down, and just play with the stencils, inking up using the Distress ink and the mini ink blending tool. And really there wasn't any pattern or semblance of order here. I just sort of like went with whatever I felt like. And I'm not sure where all of these stencils come from. I know that these like little tiny green ones are Heidi Swap, and I think the big green one with the polka dots was also Heidi Swap. The orange one came from some travel scrapbook theme thing. It has stars on it, and I honestly can't tell you where they're all from because I didn't keep the packaging, so sorry about that. The one other thing that I decided to do was add a little bit of blue. So I believe I am using Faded Jeans here, and I love adding blue as an accent color to these tags. Last year, some of the tags I had made for the gifts had a little bit of blue on them, and I actually really loved the way the blue looked. So try to pull out an accent color or a color that you could just do something fun with, like blue or another color, and just go crazy. I hope you guys are enjoying this series, and every single day I've been posting a different December daily video and hopefully giving you guys some inspiration. I can't wait to see all your December daily projects too, so if you're making videos, leave me a link below, or if you're posting them to your blog or Instagram or to Facebook, I would love to see them. You guys can leave me a comment below so that I can find your projects and I can look at them. This project is probably one of my favorite projects, like all year long. Last year I did my first December daily and it was so much fun, and all year I couldn't wait to do it again. I think I love Christmas and I love December, and I just love any excuse to just play with my fun products and make fun things. And I love the end result, like when you finish and you end up with this like amazing project that you can look back and see like a whole month day by day. It's just so cool to be a part of. So anyways, I'm running out of things to say, but I'm really just adding a little bit of stenciling onto each and every tag. So I thought about doing all of the tags a little bit differently, and they all do look different, but all of them sort of go with the same kind of pattern. So first I distressed them, then I sprayed them with water and dried them, and now I'm adding the stenciling. And this number 7 tag ends up being my favorite. Just the yellow, the red, and the blue together looks so cool. And on some of them, I decided not to do any crazy stenciling. Instead, I just inked the edges. So this is a great way to add definition too, is to just grab some of the tags and just use some ink and just ink the edges, and it'll just add a defined edge. And you can go with either the same color, like red on red, or you could do a different color, like how I just did that red and yellow on top of each other. That works really well. Or even like green on top of green, and it just adds a little bit extra definition to the edges and gives something a little bit different. So you don't have to use a stencil on each and every tag. You can just do something like this where you're just adding a little more distress ink. And you could spray it with water and have the inks react again, but I don't believe I do that on this. I do spray them all with mists later, which does cause a reaction as well. So, last couple ones here. Again, I really want to encourage you to try this. It's so fun. So if you're afraid to do it on your numbered tags because they're the only ones you have, that's okay. Just find some like cheap shipping label tags, and you can find those at like Office Depot or Staples, or like office supply stores. Usually you can find tags like this one, and usually they're just white or manila, like that like off-white color. And you could just play and experiment, and the more you experiment, the more you create, and the more you have fun, and the more you figure out what works and what doesn't work. And the truth is that like I love all the tags, even the ones that like didn't work the way that I thought they were gonna work. They end up working really well. So just to finish off, I'm just cleaning off my stencils. This is a good idea. Otherwise, next time you use it, you won't remember that there's like red ink on there. And you can just clean it off really easily with a baby wipe. So now I was trying to decide what to do. I thought I would leave some of them blank. I thought I would stamp on some of them and then spray some of them. So originally you're going to see me grab a third of them to spray with ink, with Mr. Huey's and inks and things like that. But then I end up spraying them all. So I just got so excited, and I love the way that it looks. So I grabbed out some inks that I was going to use. I grabbed out gold Heidi Swap. I grabbed out a white Heidi Swap. And then I grabbed out a number of green Mr. Huey's mists. So let's see which ones I grabbed. I grabbed Jubilee, Ocean Front, and Guacamole. And this is where I decided that I wanted to put gold mist on all of them, like every single one. So what I did was I sort of just laid them out, sprayed it with gold ink, and you grab the ink top and just did some splatters with the gold ink, sealed it up, and then dried that top row off. And then after I had sprayed them all with gold mist, I decided to go back and add the green Mr. Huey's mists to just a couple of them. And I did that by like taking off the lid and then just tapping the lid part, and it just made some green splatters and mists on some of them. I didn't do that on all of them because all the other ones had the gold mist on them, but I feel like this just added a little something to a few of the cards. And you'll notice that none of the numbers are exactly the same. I probably shouldn't have done 2 and 3 or 15 and 16, but I just wanted to mix it up. And I think it'll look really fun in the album to just have everything just a little bit different than everything else. So then I dried everything off with my heat gun, so that the next step of the project would work well. And the next step of my project is actually stamping. So you really want the tags to be completely dry when you stamp on them. And otherwise the ink won't work as well, and it might bleed through, or it might ruin your ink pad. So I just grabbed out a bunch of different Christmas related stamps. I had a couple of wood mounted stamps, and then I had a bunch of what are they called? Polymer? clear cling stamps. I don't know what they're called. Anyways, I grabbed a bunch of like the clear stamps that you put on blocks. And I decided to just use black ink to stamp, so I'm using black StazOn ink here. And I basically just grab a stamp, stick it on the ink pad, and then just stamp. I'm not really like second guessing it at all. I'm just sort of going with whatever feels right, whatever I think looks like it'll work. Now the one thing about StazOn ink is it doesn't clean off easily with a baby wipe, so you have to use special StazOn cleaner. So every time I stamped on one of the tags, I cleaned it off using this like cleaning pad and the cleaning solution. Now I'm not going to go through and show you how I stamped all of them, just because that would take forever. So what I'm going to do is in just a moment here, I'm going to stop the speeded up video and I'm going to slow it down and just talk through some things and some tips. Okay?
Hi everybody. Okay, so I'm back. I've finished them all. There's 31 here, and I thought I would just slow down the video a little bit and show you them, talk a little bit about them. So you've seen the process, and they're all done, and I'm so excited with the way that they've turned out. I love that they're all a little different. It just makes me so happy. So I pretty much stuck with pretty similar colors, like mostly like yellow gold tones. I did reds and greens. I threw a little bit of blue in there just because I like the blue with the green, and I think it looks really pretty, but I'm super happy with the way that they turned out, and I'm so excited to use these in my December daily. This one is so cool to me. I love the pattern on this. I'm just going to hold that up to you. That's why I love the blue, because I think it looks so cool with the reds and the yellows and the greens. I'm super excited about the stamping and the misting, and like I love this one with just, it's pretty simple. It's just got a little bit of stamping down here. I like even like the simple ones like this that just has the number and then share joy. I'm super happy with the way that they turned out. I want to show you all of them. I just love how they are all so different, and I think that they're gonna really like add something to my December daily to have like all these different like mixed media tags that I created in my album. And the thing I love about them is they're so unique. So even if you decide to play along and make your own mixed media tags to use as your numbered days, like yours are going to look different. So even if you use the same techniques and use the same stamps and the same stencils and the same spray mitts and everything, yours will look different because everybody's is different. So that's one of the things I like really love about this project is like we can use the same supplies but have a completely different outcome. So a couple things I've learned from doing this or making tags like this is that layering is like your best friend. So when you layer different types of products on top of each other, so like as you watch the video, I started by using distress inks and inking one color, and then I sprayed them all with water and dried them. Then I added more distress inks or inking around the edges just to give it a defined edge. And then I used spray mists on them, and then I let that dry, and then I stamped on top of that. And then, so all the layers is what really creates like a defined look and really makes them look like so beautiful. And like, I don't think I'm necessarily like incredibly talented at distress inks or stencils or any of those things, but when I look at these tags, I'm like completely blown away by something I've made, and I hope that you guys are impressed too as I am. I mean, I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I'm happy with the simple ones and then the more complex ones too. I'm just like, this one for Christmas just makes me so happy. I decided to just go with like Merry Christmas, the 25, and then the gold. So a couple tips that I have for you is if you are going to make these, I recommend sticking with just a couple color schemes. or like a few colors. I mostly stayed with, as you can see, like traditional Christmas colors, red, green, gold. I did mix a little blue in there, which I know is not typically a traditional color, but I just love the way that it turned out. So I would maybe pick one accent color that you think will go well with the colors that you've chosen. Whether you decide to use blue or a different color, I recommend picking at least one just to add a little pop, and then it makes them look just a little unique and varies the colors a little bit. So my first tip is to like add layer on top of layer on top of layer. My second tip is to go with a pretty like simple color scheme where you pick like 4 colors and then use variations on the same color. So while these are all red, they're all different shades of red, and that's because I use different red distressing. Same with the green. These are all green, but they're different because I use different colors. So my third tip would be don't be afraid to mix colors. Some of my favorite tags are the ones that have like multiple color tones on them, like where they have yellow and red, or yellow and green, or things like that. Or even this one that has yellow and blue, or yellow and red. I love the tags that have multiple colors. I just feel like they have so much dimension to them, and I'm really excited about the way that they look. I think out of all of the tags, this one right here is my favorite, and I showed it to you earlier. It has yellow and red and a little bit of blue, which made a little green, and I just love it. So it's fun. My next tip is don't be afraid to make mistakes. You can cover it up, or sometimes the ones that you make mistakes on end up being like some of the coolest ones. Like, for example, I don't really love how the stamping came out on this, but in the end, I think that it looks really cool. Or another example of a mistake is this one, where when I added the water droplets on top, it created like a bleach through effect and took away like too much color. But I think it looks really cool in the end. And like even this one, I had stamped or stenciled on those stars, but then when I sprayed it with the gold distress ink, it like smushed all the stars so they don't look clearly defined. But I actually think it looks cool. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, because sometimes the mistakes that you make, like using a stencil in a wrong or using something too heavy, can actually end up looking really cool, or you could use it for something else. Like, I'm not crazy about this green part there, but like I could totally put something there, and I think that all of them are unique and cool, so even the ones that I made mistakes on are completely fine. My next tip is try to do something consistent on all of the tags. So for example, I sprayed all of these tags with gold Heidi Swap Color Shine, and I don't know if you can see it on camera. I really hope you can, but it is so pretty. It gives this like really sparkly sheen to it, and all of them look like that. From like number 1 all the way to 30, they have this like really pretty sheen to them, and it makes all the tags look like they go together. So even though they're all different, they all go together, and it'll still help my album be like completely cohesive. My next tip is don't be afraid to like mix it up. So on some of the tags, you'll find stamping. On other tags, I didn't do any stamping. Like, I just used ink, like ink splatters, like this one. So I like the idea of mixing them up and not making them all the same. Even like if I use a stamp here, you won't find that same stamp in the same way on another one. Or if you do use the same stamp, like on this one, here's another one here where I use the same stamp. I used it in a different way. So on this one, I put it that way. On another one, I put it vertically. So if you are going to use the same stamp on multiple, try to come up with different ways to use it, and it'll really take it to the next level. If you were to look on the back of these tags, you will notice that they don't look very pretty. They're not perfectly white anymore. Some of them look really gross, and I completely know that, and it actually doesn't bother me. I'm probably, when I put them in my album, going to do a couple of different things. I might take two numbers that are back to back and glue them together. That way you just see the two numbers. So if one side of the spread is one day and then the other side of the spread is the next day, having them glued together like that will work perfectly. Other days, if I decide to go with like a full page spread or a full page photo, I might just like attach that onto it or use it somewhere in the layout. Or another day, I might just stick the tag in a 3x4 pocket and just let it be a little loose. So I don't want to commit to like gluing them all back to forth without knowing really how it's going to work or how they're going to look. So, and then the other thing I was thinking is most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch 3 holes in the side of these to stick them in the planner so that they're face up. But some days I might want to stick it in like this and have the holes there. Or another day I might want to stick it in like this. Or one day I might want to just stick it on the page protector or in the page protector or something different. So I didn't want to punch the holes yet until I knew absolutely for sure how I was going to put them in, which I guess you will be seeing how I put them in as I do the spreads, and it'll be a surprise to you as it is for me. Last time when I made Christmas tags, like for presents, I did the same techniques. So even if you're not doing December Daily, or even if you don't like the numbered tags that were in the December Daily main kit, you could totally do these same techniques to make Christmas tags that say like to, from, or love you, or whatever. That's what I did last year, and people love them. So you can definitely use these techniques for other things. My other suggestion too is that if these are a little too crazy to you, you could maybe pick one design that you like and just do the same design on all of the tags. That would work really well. And another thing that I might do in my December Daily is if I want the tag in there like this, but I don't want the other tag on the back, I could just always cover the back with some pattern paper and then trim it off and re-punch the hole. So I guess you'll be seeing as I go what I decide to do with these. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's December Daily video. I want to encourage you to go back and check out the other December Daily videos I'm doing in the whole month of December if you haven't seen them. Or subscribe, which you can find the button down below. And check back tomorrow to see another December Daily inspiration video. And I hope you guys are having a great December. See you then. Bye.